Fit for Life Radio, episode number 165. Gary and Will here.
We're running on Wawa coffee.
Will's running on Wawa coffee.
Half-calf Wawa coffee.
I haven't had a coffee in a hot minute.
You haven't had a lot of things in a hot minute.
Hot minute.
I did pick up some chocolate milk, man.
That Carb Master?
It's good. It's good. I'm always skeptical, because you got me to buy canned potatoes once. So my skeptical meter goes like sky high when you're like, oh, this is good. But it's good. It really is.
I know.
I have like a little, just like one serving with my breakfast.
A little treat.
Dude, it's good.
And it's like that triple filtered, so I think most of the lactose is gone out of it.
It's smooth, baby.
Yeah. A little higher in protein.
What's it, like 11 grams of protein? Something like that?
Yeah. 11, 13.
Just drink a cool G a day, just a gallon. Hit your protein goals.
Hey, get to where got the disposable daily contacts and can whack back a pint of that
every day.
That's the only thing that's pricey, right?
It is.
So you gotta
you keep it stocked in the fridge. It's all you got is that
one little cup a day. Gotta
it's
preserve
enough.
it.
You can savor it because it's like, it's thick, creamy. Anywho,
so today
has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
I guess we could probably eventually tie it in. The more options
we can.
We're going to talk about. So I've been in the fitness industry going on 18 years now.
You're so old.
So old, since I was 20. So I started right when I was 20 as a trainer, and then I was turning 21 soon after. But for easy math, since I was 20, I'm just 38 now. So yeah, about 18 years.
Jesus.
So for easy math, we'll just say.
I think 18 sounds good, right?
Well, we'll say 20 because what we're going to talk about today is what's changed. What's different,
we can talk 20.
how
That's
things
fine.
have changed in, say, the last 20 years.
It's a lot.
In the health and wellness space.
You have better insight because I've only been in this for, 11 years now?
Mm-hmm.
And we can count some training people through college, but I didn't get paid for it, so.
Yeah. And I got to work at a Globo gym.
Yeah, and I never did.
So you see, it's like super high volume of people. And so yeah, you just get more, exposure to stuff. So it's interesting to think back to, 18 years ago. So that was right when the internet it was a thing, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But it still wasn't like the information space.
Not like it is now.
That was right when maybe you had some blogs.
So that was 2005?
Yeah,
early 2000s. Let's call it early 2000s.
Yeah, it was 2005.
Blogs were the thing. You just if you had a following, you had a blog and it blew up and people followed you, but outside of that.
But there was 4 people.
Yeah. No, there really was.
And essentially and so there was that. So if you were digging deep, you could find some things. But then you ultimately with fitness, most of the stuff came from magazines. So if you picked up a Men's Health, Women's Health,
Muscle and Fitness,
Muscle Mags, but we really too want to more general population. So general pop's not picking up
nah,
the Muscle Mag, with freaking Ronnie Coleman on the
Flex
cover.
Wheeler on it.
Yeah. Or in the library books, right? So I think back to when I was a trainer then, and even for trainers, right? So you would
the
have
knowledge was way different.
Yeah, your school and schooling and the books, but books and schooling. The problem with books and schooling is they don't change.
Well, they're never going to be able to keep up, right?
Yeah.
Because it's expensive to make books and print them and update them. So of course it's not going to be a new book every year.
Yeah. So even that, so you got to kind of educate yourself and look for these resources. But ultimately, when so I was a trainer, and yeah, people come and they hire a trainer, and really, I guess you could say it more starts with I need to lose weight, right? That's the universal thing. That's
generally
where it
what
starts.
Yeah.
And that can be different factors. It can be I don't feel great, I want to look better, and I equate that to weight loss, or my doctor told me I need to lose weight because of my BMI or blood markers, but ultimately most people that ends up being this initial thing, and then ultimately if you're not a gym person, so say you're at this point you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, well, I need to join a gym, and then I need help at the gym. I don't know what to do, so then I need a trainer. That was it. That was kind of like, and there wasn't even really group back then, which we'll get into because I was doing group a few years in, and that was the very early stages. But that was that. So it's literally like you'd pick up a magazine, and this was the other. So this is where we'll get into. None of the stuff's necessarily bad per se. It's good and bad, but so women would pick up a magazine, which was like, hey, remember magazines they make money by selling ads, right?
Yeah.
Well, what is a woman's magazine? What are the ads? Like hair and skin stuff and skinny women that, with pretty hair and skin, and they're selling these things. So they're selling that image, right? So no, they're not going to tell you to like bench press. Even though you should, right? Like, and to lift as much weight as you can within a certain, they're going to, so then the workouts back then in women's magazines, even probably now, was like grab 5-pound dumbbells and do like 50 reps of this,
and for elongation and toning.
So
and that was where they were.
Yeah. And that's what people would
women
do.
weren't supposed to lift heavy weights.
Yeah. Or then you're like, I got to go to the gym. I got to hire a trainer. You hire the trainer, and then you're like, well, this is what I'm invested in. And as the trainer, you say, you coach them through the workout. You tell them what to do, maybe do outside of the gym. And that was that.
Yeah, that was
literally that.
Like, oh, you just got to follow this plan.
There was no second guessing. There was no, that was that. And now you fast forward 18, 20 years to now. And there's so much, it's the complete opposite.
There's so much information, and half the people don't believe what you're telling them.
And not only that, and then you can get it from literally thousands and thousands of sources and different people.
Yeah.
And so someone could then hire you to be their trainer. And then you say, hey, this is what I want you to do. And then literally within moments, well, I saw this, someone do this or that or this or this and that and this and that. And then you're having to explain you're that, right? Like your reasoning for doing it. And the reality is most people don't even now get to where they're hiring the trainer or coach and doing the things. They spend all their time going around the different voices and this or that, and just mentally, going in that circle. And not even then starting anything. Because
taking in all this information and never quite sure what's right, what's not, and then you just don't do anything.
And it's wild because there is better information available than there was then. Like we just talked about with women, it was like, do this soup can workout. But now, it's
very important.
You look at the younger generation too, and they're like, starting out in the gym at 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, lifting weights, heavy. So, the good stuff is winning out. But people who pick it up young naturally are good at it and or comfortable with it and or have some genetic advantages to where they see, they just take to it easier. And maybe they build muscle easier. So then they see results quicker. And then, hey, I'm good at this. I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah. So then it just becomes like cemented in their life.
So, but there's still just a huge segment who doesn't feel that way, doesn't initially attack. So then they are like looking, researching for like the solutions and all these different things. When the reality is like, you just have to, everything's kind of simple.
It is.
And you just have to do it.
That's the whole thing. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
That's it.
But now the barrier to entry isn't the information.
No.
It's the action.
Yeah. It's the follow through.
Too much information.
Yeah. I almost wish people just didn't read stuff like that on the internet.
So now we're kind of talking from the user client standpoint. From a coaching standpoint, it's 10 times harder.
It really is.
I mean, I think now, like, we have to record, we have to do a podcast, we have to post on social media all the time, we have to answer tons of questions, we have admin person just to answer questions, while people are gathering information about gyms. There's so much you have to do to get people to
Just do it.
to trust and do. Whereas before it was just like, oh, you're the fitness person,
I'll do what you say.
and they hire you, and they kind of, okay, what do you need me to do?
Yeah.
So it was actually, if you ask me, from a coach standpoint, it was way easier back then,
It was.
and there's just it just all becomes distractions too, because then you can kind of avoid what you need to do, and just find something that confirms what you want to do, even if that's not again what you need to do. So it's wild.
It's hard out here, man.
And I mean, think of something, and that goes with everything. We're talking about the fitness industry. It's really, because of the information age, you can find it for anything. If you're trying to, redo your landscaping, it's like
There's going to be 15 different
Yeah.
ways, and all of them say the other one's wrong.
mm-hmm.
And then you're like, well, what am I supposed to do?
And
Like,
you
I
just
want good
research
grass.
for 3 years.
And you
When-
got dead grass.
Yeah, when you should probably just throw some grass seed down
Yeah.
and water it, and then figure out what goes wrong and make it a little better. But then you can feel good. You can get those endorphins from just doing the research, because
Well, I think that's what happens.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, yeah, this is, or making a plan but never following through with it is
Yeah.
another common one. Because it feels good to make a
Yeah.
plan. We all know that.
it feels like action.
Yeah.
It's kind of action.
It's like the beginning of action, but it's like 1%, and the other 99% is actually doing it.
Mhm.
But we feel good from that 1% of like, all right, I'm going to plan this out. This is going to be perfect. This is how it's going to work. This is going to be my routine, and it's going to go great.
Yeah.
And then we don't do it. Or you do it once.
And the other thing is, there is a bunch of different stuff, and a lot of it can work or be great, but the reality is you can't do it all either.
Yeah.
So it's like two things. It's like paralysis by analysis, and then also FOMO, right? Fear of missing out.
Like, oh, well, what if I got better results doing this other thing?
Yep. To where we never, and then and you bounce around and can never stick with something. It's like, I want to be a power lifter, and then, oh man, look at CrossFit. Let me go do that.
And then,
you're
I
like,
want to be a yogi.
Yeah, I hate all this cardio. Well, look at the Olympic lifter, and then I got, it's just bouncing around, fear of missing out,
Yeah.
information overload, and for most people, and then that's even another thing, right? Then you see, well, you're always going to see the 1%. So what then the average person relates to like a fitness or is the extreme end of like, well, if I'm going to go to the gym, I should make it my personality, and I have to look like a magazine model. Well, I can't do those things, so I might as well not even do nothing.
Yeah.
Like, and that goes for anything, right? You could be like, I want to pick up painting, and it's almost now. Well, then you look at painters on Instagram; they're all pros, and you're like, man, if I do painting, I need to make it a side hustle and start selling these paintings, right?
Yeah, there's all that pressure.
and become a professional painter, to where you're just like, and then you end up not doing it because it becomes unfun. When it's like, well, couldn't it have just been
Just
like
something
a
you
hobby
do
that you do for an hour or two a week?
that you like.
Same thing with fitness. You don't got to be
You don't have to be an
elite
influencer or
athlete and compete. It can just be a couple hours of your week to support your overall life.
your health.
Yeah. So then we see all that, and it derails us from doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah, if I can't be the best, why even bother?
And then you're like us. Then we're trying to just be the voice that's like, hey, you can get a lot of benefits
Just do something, man.
from 2 hours a week, and then you'll get someone yell at you, well, I do 5 and I'm fine. And it's like, no one's saying
Yeah.
not to do 5. We're just trying to say it's okay to do less. Because we see it, right? Like we have with the gym, and sometimes people can come, say 3-4 times a week. But then when they can only come once or twice
They're like, oh, this isn't worth it.
and do 0.
Can-
And the real reality is like, the 2 will give you 90%, because you're able to come, say 4, double the 2. You're not getting double the benefit.
Nah.
It's massive diminishing returns.
Yeah. But 0 is 0. That's the bottom line. Like, if you're doing nothing, your results will be 0.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing the bare minimum, you're still getting 90% of the way. if we're considering like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days is optimal, we'll
Yeah.
just set a baseline and keep it real simple. 2 days is at 90%. How can you argue with being almost
Yeah.
all the way there?
Well, here's how you can. If we just told someone that, in a room with no distractions, they'd be like, okay, coach, I got you.
But then you got people on the gram.
That's what happened 18 years ago.
I know.
Now it's like, no, I you know,
I saw this split. This is the split I got to do to work
I
out.
follow this CrossFit pro, and he does 4 hours a day of this and that, and counts his macros.
Yeah,
and
2 a days. He has a morning session and an evening session, and doesn't have a job.
and it's just like, man, if I can't follow that routine, what's the point? I'll
Yeah.
never be.
If you know me, you know I'm always on the run, up early and home late, so having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's 1 scoop mixed in water once a day and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out. If you know me, you know I'm always on the run, up early and home late, so having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's 1 scoop mixed in water once a day and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out.
And yeah, it's demoralizing as a coach. So then you see people do nothing
And
for
you're like,
2
"Damn."
years, and then they'll go ramp back up and try to get on,
Get on track.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's frustrating. Like, you could have just turned the dial down. Like, if you're at 2 workouts a week for a year, you're going to still do really well. Whereas if you're doing 0 workouts a week for a year, you're going to lose muscle mass. You're probably going to gain weight, most likely, just because your activity's lower, your habits are going to change. There's just,
Yep.
big difference.
And then most of us, when right? Like, if you're drinking a 2-liter Mountain Dew a day, like, you don't necessarily have to go on the carnivore diet to lose weight.
No,
you could just stop drinking soda,
Yeah.
like,
or drink less soda.
like
Dang.
cut out liquid calories, right? No one needs to be taught that. But then the reality is someone could spin their wheels with even doing that because they built everything up to be way more, right? So again, paralysis by analysis. And this just didn't happen. it wasn't as much opportunity for this to happen 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, now the problem 20 years ago was getting people the right information.
Yeah.
Right. So, like we said, like most people were like, oh, I want to lose weight. The old school of thought was I need to just do cardio and avoid weights because weights will make me look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I'm gonna look
right?
like the Hulk.
So, you know, now that's not the case as much.
So that's a good thing that like the information has helped that,
Mhm.
and you know, in regards to like what people
Yeah.
should be doing, but it's still cloudy.
Yeah. Because again, yeah, most people, you should then start resistance training in a progressive manner for your full body, all your muscle groups, and leave it at that, right? But then you'll see, oh, look at this person competing on the power lifts. Well, I need to do bench press, deadlift, and squats, and I want to, you know, and then they'll start chasing that and end up not being able to keep, you know, then the time commitment's too much. Then
Yeah.
they feel like a failure and then drop back down to nothing, right? And then, you know, say you're in your 30s and you yo-yo between this. But the reality is, well, you need to be doing something in your 30s, in your 40s, in your 50s, in your 60s. So what can you do for 40 years,
That's the key.
you know?
Like what will keep you in one piece
Yeah.
and keep you going?
And again, we're not saying being a powerlifter is
Yeah, I'm not
bad.
saying there's anything wrong with that. Like
But
some
there's-
people really thrive and do well with it,
Yeah.
but for most average people,
Yep. It's the same thing, right? Like let's go to your landscaping, right? Not everyone there's always that yard, right? That it takes tons of time, and that's not. I fell into this exact trap. You'll see a yard like that and be like, "Well, I want a yard like
Yeah.
that. Why wouldn't you?"
and then you realize
Right.
how much it takes
Then you
to
get in
there.
and you realize the financial and time commitment and life. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right. You are choosing not to do a lot of other things to prioritize this above everything. And then I realized quickly, nah.
That ain't worth it.
Like for example, some of the time I prioritized for my walks and for my fitness would have to go towards the yard, and that wasn't going to happen. But I still don't want my yard to like be dirt and weeds, right?
so you still do something.
You do something. You find a basic, sustainable plan and then for a while I just researched it all, dude, for like a year and a half, 2 years. You know? And then like, well, what's the exact seat? And it's just like, it don't matter. It's not gonna be perfect, you know?
Yeah.
And you just have to like do it and get going,
Dude.
but learn the trade-offs.
To spin off of that, to talk about the extreme, is a dude I know. He's like real into his yard. Like he has like special lawnmowers. He's selling this like 1950s lawnmower for like 4 G's. Like it, and he just
Yeah.
grades his yard, but the amount of time he spends on, and he has the time, you know, and he enjoys it. But like if you saw it, you'd be like, all right, well, that's a nice yard. But then when I see how much work goes into it, you're like, there's
Yeah.
no way
And-
that I'm going to even do that.
And here's the thing, it's just like the gym. Well, once you get interested, maybe you want to like up your yard game. Well, who are you going to ask for advice?
Yeah.
That dude. And what do you think he's, you know?
Yeah.
And the reality is like, he's going to tell you way more. And same thing. Wow, I want to build muscle or whatever. Well, let me go to the most jacked dude in the gym. Well,
Yeah,
this
of course he's
person's,
gonna
like,
tell you to-
taking steroids
Yeah.
and spending all their money on their food.
And they
this and that.
spend all of their free time at the gym because it's their thing.
Yeah. And
'Cause
the
they're that
reality
guy.
is, it used to be just like that. You may know a guy,
Yeah.
but now you can go online and know 1,000 guys.
That all have a different opinion.
You know,
Jesus.
so that's you know, in the last 20 years, man. And it's like,
Just a very double-edged sword.
yeah,
There's a lot of good, but a lot of headaches that have come from how much information's available.
So what can we take away? The reality is, like, know your priorities, you know that there's a lot we can do in this life, but we can't prioritize it all. So
What's most important?
yeah, if in fitness and health it doesn't have to be your personality. It doesn't have to be
No.
your lifestyle, right? So
You don't have to have fit in your Instagram handle.
it also shouldn't be nothing because it supports our health
Yeah.
and wellness, and that's important. So, you know, find information sources that you trust. This is what I would recommend. So it goes back to maybe how it was 20 years ago when it was a little easier, in that people trusted the source. They had less options. They took more action because then they chose something and then ran with it. So find sources, find people that you trust, and tune out everything else.
You have to.
And then trust the source and process.
Yeah. Because we've kind of seen that evolve from the blogs back in the day to, now, there's Facebook pages and, with, people have followings and, people's Instagram accounts. And I'm sure there's Discord servers for people now too. There's just a million things. There's subreddits. So you just have to hone in on one. Find an expert or two that you really trust, you like, and, that has something that maybe resonates with you, or that you're like, oh, I could do this for a long time. I do feel this, and just do it.
And know your outcome goal and match that up, right? Like, if you're listening to us right now and you're like, well, I want to be a bodybuilder or I want to be a powerlifter. Yeah, like
we're probably not the guys to base all of your info off.
Exactly.
Of. And it's cool.
Now, you know what? If we know enough about it to where we could talk a little bit to that, but we purposely don't, because that's not who we're trying to help.
Nah, it's not what most people need.
And that's the other thing. If there's someone that seems like they have to answer for everything and they help everyone,
nah, it's too good to be true.
The same thing happens for our gym. Like, we want to help people who don't have success on their own and at Globo gyms, right? And these are people who just want to be fit for life.
Yeah,
right?
They just want to be healthy.
When we first started, the way we train people,
it's changed.
Well, it's changed. It's evolved towards that market. But when we decided to go that route, it's not like CrossFit in your face, like #beast mode.
No.
And other gyms would almost make fun of it.
For being easy, or
we're providing something to a certain person.
Yeah,
that helps them way more. And then you have people that be like, oh, yeah, I can train you for a CrossFit competition. And then in the same class, the person next to you has like 3 hip surgeries. And they're like, oh, I'm rehabbing this person, right? And it's like...
It's just not...
So same thing. If someone's online and trying to appeal to every single goal...
It's too good to be true.
Don't you want to narrow down.
Yeah, align yourself with somebody who has a little bit more of a narrow focus, right? If you're into powerlifting, find a coach that is world class at powerlifting and lives and breathes it and has a concise message, and just follow them.
Yep.
That you just have to do that, because then if you start doing that and then you're like, but this Olympic lifting coach said to do this, and then this bodybuilding coach said that barbell back squats aren't good. Well, what are you gonna? You're not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
So you have to really hone in and realize this is who I'm gonna listen to, and that's it.
And everything's context dependent, right?
For sure.
Yeah. If you're a power lifter, you got to do barbell back squats.
You have
because
to.
It's part of your sport. But they can still be not good.
Yeah.
You know what? Running into someone with your head is not good.
People still get paid a lot of money for it.
But if you're a football player, you got to do it.
And you got to be good at it.
So everything's context dependent. Find information sources that line up with your goals.
That's something people have to define. What is your goal? And it can't be all the things.
Yeah.
Because we do see that. The people who want to do it all. You can't be, super jacked and crazy lean and the strongest you've ever been and the fastest you've ever been all at once if you've never done anything.
Yeah.
You just can't have all of that in the same moment. You can't work on all of it at the same time.
And that comes back to, like we said, the 2 main things of now versus 20 years ago: information overload and FOMO, fear of missing out. And that's where the FOMO really becomes a problem. It's back then, you wanted to... This is over the years what I've seen. I remember there was a stage where someone would get into working out, and then you would see, whatever, an Instagram post of someone running a adventure race, or a mud run.
Yeah.
And then people will be like, well, I'm going to do mud runs and adventure races.
And
then for 3 weeks, 3 months maybe, someone's all about it. Then they see a post for and then the CrossFit Games comes around. you know, and then they're like, oh, I want to, and then
I
they're
want to be a games
then they're
athlete.
like power snatching, and they want to be a games
Yeah.
athlete, and then like, yeah, that's a lot of pain to endure, and the training you go, and then they'll see like a powerlifting competition. It's like, oh, you just get to sit on a bench and bench press, and so
Yeah, man.
and they're like, that's more, and then like, I want to do that, right? Or someone will, even worse, right? Will have these dreams of like, oh, I'm gonna do this for 3 months and I'm gonna be great, and then you're not right away.
Yeah.
So then you're like, well, let me try this other thing. You know, then you're like, I'm gonna be a power lifter, and then you go do that, and then 4 months in, you get distracted, and you're like,
because it's hard work.
yeah, and then the Boston Marathon comes around, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna run marathon, you know, and then you schedule a race, you know, and then you get 2 months into your training and then it's something else, you know, and now you're just, and that didn't happen before because you want to be exposed to all this stuff every day.
Yeah.
Like right now, we can go pull up
Oh God.
anything on all this stuff, and it's like, so then if you're even thinking about going to the gym, and then some people, this is the exposure because these are competitions and elite sports, or so you just stumble on them more, to where then you're like, well, if I like, there's really no one that's just like averagely just going to the gym twice a week. Like that's not gonna pop up
No.
in on our radar.
No,
you know?
because it's not like exciting like
Yeah.
a beast mode workout showing somebody get crushed with some dope music.
Even though that's what we need, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, then people enter this portal of FOMO, and then you end up doing nothing because you're like, what should I choose? What would I be good at? What am I going to? And we just don't start.
And then you get discouraged.
or we just feel awful.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: with most stuff, we don't find it; it finds us.
Yeah.
You know, what you take, like Olympic sports are a good example. Let's take gymnastics and swimming. You know how people are always like, you should swim. It makes you long and lean. No.
People that are
yeah,
Yeah.
that body type lends itself to being good at swimming.
Yeah, so they rise to the top, and they like,
And
that
that's-
archetype shines
Mm-hmm.
because most of the top swimmers look like that, and that's just what it is.
Yeah. Same thing. People used to be like, gymnastics stunts your growth.
Like nah, just like
No.
short, stocky people are good at gymnastics.
Exactly. So, you know, all those things. I mean, look, you can pull up the CrossFit Games, and literally, you can take like the last now 10, 15 years, and like the top three from each, you know, top three men from each year over the last 10, 15 years, and their height and weight will be all within like a super narrow range. They're all like 5'9", 195 pounds.
Yeah. With like super like thick, robust joints.
Yeah, you know, and they look like running backs, right?
Every one of them.
In the NFL. And it's like, did CrossFit make them like that? No. They just basically had, it's an attrition to people that,
they,
you know,
they excel at
that
like
excel at it.
multiple things, right? They're
Yeah.
good at the gymnastic stuff because they're not 6'5"
Yep.
and 280 pounds. They also excel at the Olympic lifting
And the strength
because
stuff,
they're
'cause they're-
powerful and
Yeah.
their leverages are good and yeah.
They're more, yep. And that's just the way it is, right?
Mhm.
So if you like are just trying to be fit and you fall into that, you know, that elite stuff mindset, you're just setting yourself up for discouragement a lot
Yep.
of time, you know. And that's not saying like don't go for it if you love it, but you just want to have realistic expectations.
Don't expect that you're going to be a
Yeah.
world-class athlete if you're just starting to work out at 40. Just
I mean, it's
and
I
it's
mean,
okay.
Yeah, you can. I've even seen these charts where they take literally. It was like baseball, right? There's 9 positions on the field.
Mm-hmm.
They did the same thing. They took data from all the Major League Baseball players, every position, and then shows the
The archetype for each one.
archetype for each position. And then in the pros, they're almost like it's a wild how many.
It's like the same person on each team playing each position, basically.
Yeah, for like height and weight and
Well,
size.
it makes sense because each position has to do something specific.
Yep. Same
So-
thing. I've seen it with soccer.
I mean, you see it with every
Wish I could
sport.
find- it was football. Football is even more drastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's why. And again, it all becomes distractions, and most of us weren't exposed to it. You would maybe hear because you would know, right? If you started running when you were a kid, and then you were good at it, you would keep with it.
Yep.
And then you build that base, and then you just get to know people that are all connected with that, right? and you wouldn't then all of a sudden be 35 years old and you stumble on this sport and then think, I need to just get to the gym. This would be a great way, right? And then end up going down that rabbit hole. So instead of it, and even if you want to go down that rabbit hole, great, but you normally need to build a base level of fitness first.
That's something other people, I think people need to realize is when you see people that are really good at stuff, like anything, we can talk strength sports, the amount of time they've been doing it is usually like staggering.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you see someone who does pro bodybuilding, they've probably been training since they were 15.
Yeah.
And like
Well,
on
look-
top of that, like they got great genetics, they have incredible consistency. Of course they look like that, but you're not going to start training and in 3 years you just look like Mr. Olympia.
Mm-hmm.
Just not.
Well, look
a
at
thing.
your wife's cousin.
Yeah. Yeah,
Ryan.
he's like Ryan. He's like one of the top
Ryan Kent.
Spartan runners.
Yeah, like-
or Spartan racers.
Yeah, and those kind of
But he grew up running.
yeah, since he was like 3 years old, building that aerobic base.
Yeah,
right?
so no wonder he excelled at Spartan racing. Like the dude's just been running for
Yeah,
forever.
so then it comes around and he's in his 20s, and he's like has this whole base. So whereas if you just started,
You're gonna be behind.
you're gonna be behind.
Compared to
and,
him.
and it doesn't mean it's just you don't
Nothing
see
wrong with
all
you.
those years, right?
Yeah, because you might think like, oh, well, he just started Spartan racing and he's just really good at it. Like, I
Well,
wonder
look at
why.
The who's the most recent guy that was like the CrossFit champion for like 5-6 years?
Are you talking Matt Frazier?
Yeah, Matt Frazier, right? You would say, and CrossFit was newer, but still, all of a sudden, these guys would rise to the top. Oh, wait, he's been Olympic lifting since he was,
What, like 12 years old or something?
yeah. So he had built this foundation
Of great
elite-
of power, of those technical
Speed,
movements
mobility,
and
yep.
speed, and yeah, like he was just primed to be. And if you look at how tall he is, how he's built, like the dude was just literally built to win CrossFit competitions.
Yeah. So, man, 20 years. Again, somewhat different tangents and nuances, but ultimately, we were just reminiscing, and it's wild.
The information's so
the
different.
information. So look out for that paralysis by analysis, but still seek out information that you feel is valuable, and then at that point, eliminate all the other noise.
Yeah, you gotta
No, you can't
put the
do-
blinders
yeah.
on at some
You
point.
can't do it all. You need to clearly define your goal, find sources you trust, eliminate the noise, no FOMO, no paralysis by analysis, and you'll get the benefits
Yeah,
of the world we live in now.
yeah. And honestly, action is always better than no action.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're not 100% sure, like you're still better off taking some action and figuring it out as you go.
Yep.
So yeah, don't do zero.
All right. We appreciate you for listening. Listen to us ramble.
Yeah.
We'll be back rambling next week.
Catch you next time.
See ya.
As always, thanks for listening, guys. If you want to learn more, check us out at coastalfitnessva.com or garydeagle.com. We'll see you next time.